Welcome to the live stream. We had a day stream and we did not finish the exploration of the political aspects, guys. So welcome. It is us, Live Saga TV. We believe in talking the truth and working against corruption, impunity, diseases, illiteracy, and ignorance. These are the major ailments that our citizens are suffering from, that makes us continue voting for people who are not worth. And let's hope that in 2025 people will be informed, they will be aware of what is eating into them. Diseases will be down under their shoes, and impunity will not have a place as far as Kenyans are concerned. Corruption will also have been exposed and plucked out of the system. So guys, let's quickly go through 3 or 4 aspects today. We may take about 40 minutes because we already did another live stream 40 minutes. And I welcome you guys. I know that I'm a little bit late, but I'm coming back to the hour that I've always been doing my live stream because I've been affected earlier on as a result of duties in the evening. So bear with me, but let's go for it. So guys, so far e-government procurement has received a blow after the High Court suspended mandatory e-procurement order. So let's listen to this from Citizen and get to find out what is unveiling. So it has been indicated as if CJ Kome has decided to work against RUTO. But the reality is, this was not something that would go through because automatically you saw a lot of people against it, especially the Senate. Of course, e-procurement process is both a positive and negative aspect. Let's listen to this to understand why or why not.
Suspending mandatory use of electronic procurement system. The court issued the orders following a petition by Council of Governors and 4 others who argued that the decision by the national government was forceful, rushed, and marred with lack of know-how. Ayub Abdikadir has the details.
Justice Bahati Mwamuye in his directive barred the National Treasury and the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority from the implementation of the mandatory use of the electronic procurement system by all public procuring entities, stopping yet another major government move. The Council of Governors was the first to protest, accusing the National Treasury of forceful implementation, saying procuring items like medicine, food and farm inputs could not wait. Governors in their petition described the decision to adopt the new system as...
Of course, you've got it. So, when this decision was made, I want us to explore into why e-procurement was brought into books. So let's get to it to understand why it was brought in the first place before we can go on to understand more from it, all right? Okay, so just give me time and welcome so much to our discussion today. Let's look at e-procurement and why it was brought, so that we don't just talk about it without informing people, because here at Live Saga TV, as I've told you, we focus on informing, educating, and critiquing as we look through what is happening. So we want to look at e-procurement and why it was brought about, okay, before we can go to the nitty-gritties. But if you have any idea, please drop a comment in the comment section and let's go for it, okay? This, all right? All right, so the Kenyan e-procurement story comes from something thought to be click, bid, and corruption, all right? Of course, ladies and gentlemen, gather around today. We take a walk through the e-procurement system, also known as IFMIS, lakini si IMFI. So IFMIS, lakini si if meant, all right? Okay. So why did it come? Why did it come? Of course, you've seen the governors around the table, and that committee was quite stressed with the aspect of e-procurement. Okay, they would not just take the tea and it would not fall in their stomachs, because when they checked at the scrolling of their calculators and smartphones, they just thought that corruption was too much. Okay, and transparency was required. Everything was supposed to go digital. Okay, yes, they thought of creating procurement on e-base, just like e-citizen. With just one click, no more ghost suppliers, no more briefcase companies, no more missing files, all right? And that is how Kenya e-procurement was born, to make tendering fast, cheap, and transparent. Or do we call it faster, cheaper, and more transparent? Imagine, no more brown envelopes, just Wi-Fi and logins. So they wanted people to log into the systems and do the bidding and let the winner get it without those envelopes. And that is how this was born actually, okay? But the reality check goes on, yeah? We saw again another team coming and saying error 404, transparency not found, okay? Now, if you know what I mean, the system was hanging again, needing bundles, okay? The password expiring, and it was like, what the hell is this? And so, while the idea was noble, practical, let's just say Kenyans, hackers, inflated prices, tender curtails, they all found the system could not work for them, okay? And of course, there were speculations, you know. So, like, can you imagine somebody buying 2 wheelbarrows at 109,000 each? That was in Bungoma. Can you imagine in Kiambu what was bought and at how much? So e-procurement was thought to be a correct way of doing procurement, you know. T. Now, the system was thought to become digital as a way to solve the old corruption that was happening. But then the source, looking at the source of this idea, the senators thought that the president was setting them, okay? And they came up with excuses such as Hassan and Mehdi. Hi, welcome, and like the video. Like the video for me, please. So, they thought that the reality about procurement called, of course, when I'm doing live, sometimes I don't call. Of course, when I'm doing live, sometimes I don't like receiving calls because they interfere with the camera aspect. But anyway, it is what it is. So, e-procurement was meant to end corruption, increase accountability, save public funds. But without discipline and ethics, do you think the system can work? A system works under people. And so corruption doesn't just need a pen or computer. Sometimes it needs human heart. Sometimes it needs human heart. Human heart that has to change. But when human heart doesn't change, you will still have to survive, even with systems, all right? Right. Let's see the bright side of this, okay? Let's see the bright high of this. There's some interference happening here. But let's go on anyway, okay? Yeah. So, some individuals actually rejected the aspect of e-procurement, indicating that it was a way to kill their way they will be paying, procurement of medicine and all that. Of course, you've seen in the news, and up to now, I've not understood clearly why it was rejected. Anyway, let's go to a next aspect, because we need just 30 minutes to finish our story. Okay. Now, sometimes it's funny how individuals act out there. There's a story I've just seen online of individuals in Vihiga, border operators. The border operators decided to put funds together so that they can buy a motorbike, not a motorbike, but a matatu that could earn them a living. And being in Vihiga, they had to order it from Mombasa. And of course, the matatu was ordered and it came. Along the way, they began to receive information from other people, considering, or rather informing them that they needed a sacrifice. And they were surprised at what sacrifice they had to give. And they agreed that the sacrifice was just supposed to be a goat or something to pour some blood, so that they really ensure the safety of their car. And so it happened that some of the individuals were rejecting that, okay? The bundles are almost, again, coming to an end. All right, guys, let's proceed. An internet disconnection happened in the process, but let's proceed. And I hope you'll be watching. Thank you. Take your time to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and you can also share. Drop a comment to help us better our game, okay? So, of course, what happened is that the matatu operators, the Dudi, or rather motorbike operators, who had collaborated to contribute towards buying a matatu, did not know that their matatu was just on the way coming. So when the matatu came by, it hit that individual who rejected the aspect of sacrifice, And what happened is that, of course, when he died, the Ndudi operators were so annoyed that they decided to burn the vehicle. In burning the vehicle, they were burning their own money without knowing. Hasira aside is the aspect here. I remind again for something, but I'll not go to it. Yeah, so it happened that while they were burning their own vehicle, they did not know, but it teaches us a lesson that we should not be sometimes using our emotional expressions all the time. We should reason before we act, think before acting, or look before leaping, okay? So let's get to other stories. Of course, I'm interested also in the current matters elsewhere. And currently in Kenya, of course, you understand that there are several people who have been arrested in the crackdown of the counterfeits at cooking oil in Mombasa. Oil is one of the important companies in the country, but we are currently receiving some fake oil. You realize that of late you will be buying liquid oil, but it looks solid already. So we have had counterfeits that have been happening to compete the oil companies. And of course, today there was a crackdown that had to have some people arrested. Kenya. It's one of the countries that people will see a product in 1 month and they'll try to make another one of the similar, quality, just to make sure. And somehow, it starts people within the company. It cannot be just from the, from the blues. It happens from close to the people who are there. So, anyway, let's get to the current affairs, maybe in other countries. Let's check in Jamaica, because I like so much to talk about Jamaica, guys. It's one of the best places ever that has seen a lot of transformation. Recently, I saw that they were sick people who were being sent away from South Africa in hospitals, and they were being told, if you're a foreigner, you will not be treated. I was like, the xenophobic aspect has not ended at all. Is that what you're telling us? Yeah. Yeah, so of course we have seen that Ramaphosa, the South African president, has called for strengthened multilateralism, equitability, global trade currently. Okay, while in USA, the Walmart is supposed to launch the first stores in Africa by the end of the year. So I'm not so sure about the countries they are focusing on, but let's get to it. Meanwhile, Jamaica, Minister Andrew Holness had to secure the third term. Of course, anybody who is quite active online understands this. And that is the third consecutive time for him to win. Though they have lost 14 seats to the opposition, that is PNP, but JLP still holds majority of the seats, that is 34, if you're not aware. So go check on Jamaica, the country that many people are looking onto in the Caribbean. Now, why does it matter? It matters because the continuous leadership ensures policy consistency. You know, in most countries, if a new leadership comes, they bring down everything that used to be there. Look at the USA, for example. When Trump walked into office, he did away with all that was there. Yeah. But when a leader is maintained, policies are maintained. There is consistency. The government's trajectory towards potential constitutional changes, transitioning the republic, doesn't happen. Now look at South Africa. South Africa, as I'm saying, President Ramaphosa has pushed stronger global trade and multilateralism at BRICS Summit, all right? So there's just been a BRICS Summit where President Cyril Ramaphosa has urged BRICS nations to drive fairer, more inclusive global trade systems. However, my question was, as South Africa says this, why are they sending away the patients from hospitals indicating that foreigners cannot be treated? There was a trending video online indicating this. If you missed it out, check it out. Now, Walmart is supposed to open the first branded store in South Africa, that is by latest December 2025, you know? And that marks the Walmart's entry into Africa, so that we have retail scenes under their own brands and a promise of competition against the local giants and emphasis on affordability, local supply partnerships, and I'm waiting for it, you know. Sometimes when major organizations don't have competition, we tend to have a great problem. But when such organizations such as Walmart, and I wish it comes even to Kenya, once they begin investing in other countries and offer that competition, the monopoly of those dominant companies goes down. Now, we have also seen Nissan considering hybrid e-power vehicles for transitional market adoption, okay? I don't know how possible the e-power Nissans can operate in Kenya, for example, but there is an effort to ease petrol to electric, okay? So we are seeing Nissan as a company planning to introduce the hybrid e-power technology in South Africa. I don't know how soon it will come to Kenya as well. And this move is suited to make current infrastructure limitations, all right? Now, looking at USA, on the other side, they are launching controversial refugee scheme for white South Africans, the Afrikaners, okay? So, in a move drawing into international scrutiny, the US introduced the resettlement program for Afrikaners based on the claims of racial discrimination. Of course, we know South Africa strongly opposes it. Under 100 individuals have been resettled so far, despite the goal to have 30,000. Do you believe that it's possible that they are able to settle the 30,000? That's my question. South Africa also has sent a delegation to the US for trade talks to tariff reliefs, okay, and mineral export terms. Remember, Ramaphosa went to America and Trump really embarrassed him, but following the imposition of the 30% tariff on South African goods, Pretoria has dispatched officials to negotiate tariff reduction and put the right to export value-added goods. Now, my question is, do you think Trump will listen to this? If you watch the videos whereby Trump was talking to Ramaphosa, he was not friendly to him at all, because he was feeling like Ramaphosa is looking down upon the white South Africans who are called Afrikaners. And you remember that discussion was very dramatic, with the media people surrounding and asking questions to Ramaphosa, and Ramaphosa getting it difficult to answer them, all right? All right, so looking at G20 Summit 2026, that will be held in, it will be held in Florida, and I think at Doral Golf Resort, Trump's place. Now, Trump actually announced it and indicated that they will host G20 Leaders Summit in that property. That was a choice that really sparked a lot of ethical questions and controversy about why it is being held there. All right? So these are some of the things that we need to be informed about, because I've told you at Life Saga TV, we inform, we critique, and we also correct, right? So let's get to more. Let's get to more other aspects away from this. Let me get to it. Okay. Yes, get to have something. Meanwhile, I'm giving you time to subscribe to the channel, like and share the videos as we continue with our discussion. I think we are left with one or two things, because during the day we had already done more, and we are left with very little. Okay. Let's check on this. Where is this? There was something about Kalonzo Musyoka. What was he revealing? Kalonzo Musyoka was revealing something that happened earlier on to him in 2002.
It is a reprieve for all public procuring entities.
Yeah, this one here.
I remember clearly the late Konesh walking up to where we were. He looked at Raila and he said, "You have ruined my life." So when one morning we wake up and we hear Kipkalia Konesh has crashed and died, then those words came to my mind. You can condemn yourself. Mahali ya bomu ilianguka ilikuwa karibu. Mke wangu ambaye amekuwa mgonjwa alipata mshtuko mkubwa sana. Nurses were screaming all over the place. Mimi nilisikia hiyo mlipuko nikashangaa. So Moi would not have allowed a situation like today, that people armed, bearing arms, Jubaland army comes into Kenya, and carrying, they would have been disarmed at the point of entry. Naysayers who keep on saying, "Oh, Kalonzo atajoin Ruto at last minute ya wapi?"
Last minute ya wapi?
Agencies chose to do, yes, or through their elected representatives, which also chose to do, because walisema wacha tupeleke memorandum kwa our representatives in parliament. And what did the representatives in parliament do on 25th of June 2024? They fled. They didn't want to wait for the young people walete memorandum. They fled through the tunnel mpaka, and in my view, parliament was impeached. Now, those issues were so serious that they merited a revolution. And I still think this country is in a revolutionary mood. I believe, Africa, the next election, which is now scheduled for, I think, 11th of August, 2027, will be a revolutionary general election. Yes. Because those issues that watoto waliraised, wakawawa, right? Wengine wakapigwa kichwa risasi vibaya sana by snipers operating from parliament. Those issues, Those issues were the type that would have driven William Ruto out of State House. And he knew. That's why he probably exercised maximum force.
But okay, nataka sasa to rewind and then we'll come back to this election violence. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go back to.
All right. And then we created the office of the Chief Coordinating Minister, Mzee Mudi Awori. That was the MOU. But after we won the election, instead of giving the country within 90 days a new constitution, some attempt was made. Remember you used to hear of the Kilifi draft?
Yes.
And because that is not the kind of draft constitution we had wanted to give the country. So the Bombers process was flawed, and eventually the Kilifi draft came up. We opposed it. And of course, the creation then of the oranges and the bananas. That is very important history of our country.
That's why we're going step by step, yes?
Yeah.
So, January, mkoko ofisi. So, January 2003, mkoko ofisi, yes? At what point did you feel that Kibaki was not going to fulfill the MOU?
There are people who came in there. There are people who are not even...
So, of course, Kalonzo Musyoka was giving a history, especially back to Mwai Kibaki and all that. And he's one of the person who has survived and been labeled names until he decided not to be watermelon anymore. And he's, assuring Kenyans that at no point will he be going back to watermelon anymore. Instead, he's going to ensure that there is a revolutionary government. Do you believe his words? Does he stand for that? And is he there to revolve the processes that are currently happening to the, the kind of disgruntlement that Kenyans have? We should know this, okay? These are things we should know. If it's real that will happen or not, okay? So every day people talk about these things, but we are not so sure about what is happening and what will happen. But we are here to wait and see, okay? And hope, beyond hope, that everything will be okay. So Kalonzo Musyoka has shared that he was almost assassinated in 2002. You understand 202 and what happened? So he is referring to Moi and what happened and comparing to the current and what is happening. All right? So what do you feel about this? Do you think that he's telling us the truth and he will stand up to 207, then go through the elections, or is he playing us? Okay? Now, Herman Manyora has a story to tell about the current the current politics. Let's look at this.
I don't know whether they ever met. Nothing. The single most challenge to Raila's campaign has been the absence of a structure. They have never approached elections in a structured manner. I have a weakness for brains. That's my weakness. I have a bad weakness for it, and I must admit it's a bad weakness. I'm willing to fall down for a brain. Yeah. Anybody who has a brain, for me, I have a weakness for that. So Mgisa Kitui has a brain.
Why convince Gachagua?
Because if you don't convince him...
Why convince him not to run? Because you have said that as if it's your opinion that Gachagua should not vie for the presidency.
It's not my opinion. It is what people are saying. They have been saying all along that Kikuyu should not run.
Tired of the same old shopping experience? Step into a smarter way to shop with Whiteson Group, Kenya's go-to online store for quality.
Mr. Kitui under Secretariat makes me think they can be serious.
Why not start with the Secretary General, the chairperson of the Secretariat?
No, that is the Secretariat is what is important. Then head of the Secretariat. Other things can come later. By appointing us a head of Secretariat, first of all, it means you understand the important role of a Secretariat. In other words, your campaign is going to be an organized campaign, a systems approach to elections, a scientific approach to elections. And that's why you
That's to Fred Matiang'i.
Yes.
He was expected to bring the fire in the country,
yes,
to lead the opposition, to be the Gen Z candidate.
He came with ashes instead.
Your words, not mine. But what is this thing about Matiang'i that we've missed, or he has missed, that Kenyans
The expectations were too high.
What should he have done?
He should have met the expectations.
How? As a political
If people think you are the man, just come in as a man.
and be the man.
Be the man. He wasn't the man the people wanted in the ring. There's a man people want to be in the ring. When the boxing started, the man they wanted in the ring. I'll give you a small example. I'm not sure. One day I was seated with my brother, my cousin, who had been working in GSU. So mtu akaanza kutuchokoza as we were having a soda in the village pub. Me, I was not worried. I knew my brother here in GSU. Waje huyu jamaa aanze kututandika. Alitandika wapi?
There's a brother who's wearing that around the cameras here. Yeah, alitandika wapi?
So that's what Matiang'i did to Kenyans. They knew they were safe under him. But when he came, watu walitandikwa tu Matiang'i akiwa hapo. Hata yakatandikwa.
I don't want to agree with you.
I think the president can do a lot
Quite funny anyway. So listening at Herman Manyora, because I love listening to him as a political analyst, the prof himself. What do you think is missing out in some of our candidates? Rigathi Gachagua feels like he should be the man with the mantle. However, out there people feel he should not, because there is a thought that he does not really fit in the process. There are also people who feel like Matiang'i was expected to do more than what he's doing. Actually meeting the expectations of the Kenyans, because Kenyans expected that he will come as a vibrant individual who would be triggering, you know, as he stands and speaks in meetings, people will be moved. However, when he came, that did not happen. So that's exactly what Herman is saying, that when you go with your brother, a soldier, in a pub, and you believe that he will protect you only for you to be beaten alongside him, you feel humiliated, right? It's better when you are not with them, then you will think it's okay that it happened. After all, you don't have any skills. But when it happens when you are with them, just too bad. All right? Now, why is Ruto's dance a disaster? Let's look at this shortly, then we close the chapter, guys. We won't go for long.
And the economy will sort of decline instead of getting boosted.
Yeah. You questioning this unnecessary borrowing and even signal that these are odious debts.
Yeah.
We are not seeing the value for our money as a country. As we're speaking in Nepal, the Prime Minister is out of office because the Gen Z of Nepal took to the streets over corruption issues and also social media ban. It happened last year. The main subject on the protest were tamed down on this corruption. Deliver. We are now seeing the skeletons of the same coming back here in Kenya. If this is not curbed, Waziri, what monster awaits Kenya, and more particularly the president?
Well, the people of Kenya will say no. And I hope they will delay their no for the next 2 years. Then they give him a final verdict that yes, you've done your best, but leave the rest to do what is required for this country. That's the way I look at it. Because what I fear is that if people were to get enraged enough, they might cause something that we will not be able to stop. Because every afternoon, we seem to be getting provoked by the kind of actions this regime is taking. Today, you are dealing with this issue. Tomorrow, they either have church Arambe, and the Arambe that they are talking about is Arambe where they are taking millions of shillings. When we know some of these individuals don't have a permanent job, or if they have a job, we know how much they are earning. Whether it's a PS, whether it's a minister, whether it's a member of parliament, whether it is a member of parliament, whether it's an MCA, or some of the guys who don't have really serious offices hanging around the presidency, we know they don't have that kind of money.
I've heard some say Kiro is an enemy of the church because most of these billions he's taking concern with, the millions, are ending up in building of new churches, hospitals.
Well, I don't know. Is it the fake hospitals? I don't know. Maybe otherwise, if it is really genuine hospitals, I would be supporting. But also remember, let them remember those people who are questioning that I'm against the church. I don't pretend to be a preacher. I don't pretend to be a pastor. I'm just a follower of the Christian faith.
You ain't an atheist?
No, No, I'm a Christian. I'm a SEK. SEK by baptism, and a Nandi by origin. So, to play to the gallery, a lot of time I met him at the studio, and you could see he was more UDA than UDA itself.
It was a means of rent seeking?
Yes, I don't know, not rent seeking. He was looking for a job. That's why when Muturi was relieved of his job, he was given. And remember, he was MP for DP, not UDA. So he was in UDA or Kenya Kwanza, courtesy of Justin Muturi. But he pretended now he was more UDA than the UDA members of parliament at that particular time. So Kaluma, I don't...
Yeah, so guys, you heard from that. The reality is that discussions going underway is actually showing Ruto as a rejected individual who is not a prophet as such. If you look at the Fifth Estate, there is a discussion that was conducted, watched by 55,000 viewers, and there was a question on whether Ruto is a prophet who is rejected or not, and people are like, which prophet, all right? The aspect that are coming out like a suggestion to pull the years from 5 to 7, I wonder whether Ruto has realized that he cannot win for the next election, and then he's trying to protract the leadership into 7 years. I don't know, so that the extortion continues. I don't know. That's just a question I'm posing. Okay, now that people have insisted one term, is this why there's a suggestion that they extend the term to 7 years? Now remember, if you watch Hot 96 FM, you realize that there was a discussion that was ongoing today, and it was clear that Ruto has actually performed very poorly in the last 3 years. Now, some people are there to protect and say that he needs time. How long should a man do dance for you to know that he's a poor dancer? You just have to dance for 5 minutes and somebody knows you're a poor dancer. Your legs will be turning all left legs, all of them. So you don't have to dance for too long for people to say you're a poor dancer. So I am amazed when I see Kenyans saying he needs some time. Let the people jump. However much they jump, they'll not make it. You know, such comments that are very irritating sometimes. Because if people have rejected, let's just wait for elections and hoping that the people are promising to fill the basket will not do it, because it will be such an injustice. If people have decided that they don't need Sakaja anymore, why force them on Sakaja? If people don't want somebody anymore, why force them on that person? Let us have the democracy that we always talk about and honor it, so that we can have a country that is safe, not a situation of anarchy, not a situation of insecurity, not a situation where we are witch-hunting each other. And in fact, if Ruto has such an honor and respect, can just give up and say that 5 years is enough. We saw that in Tanzania, right? Yeah. And this should be a practical thing that any other leader should embrace, not just Ruto, but any other leader that comes later. It shouldn't be a policy that all the time we have a president, they rule for 10 years. Who said that? The constitution gives 5 years, then after 5 years, we are supposed to elect based on performance. And that is why in Kenya, we need people to be informed. The young, the old, those who are taking IDs, they need to be informed about why they're electing and who they're electing. All right? So let's get to the end of it. We've taken about 40 minutes, but I believe that's enough. I don't have much to share, and I think tomorrow will be another day. So today we've had 2 live streams, about 40 minutes each, and that takes us to almost 1 hour and more. And I hope, even if you have not watched during the live stream, you're free to watch later. Subscribe to the channel, share, and like the videos. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Good night for Kenyans, and for other places, may you have a good day. Adios. Yeah, I want to go